You awoke to a cold bed, alone, staring almost blindly at the other half. The cold pillow, the untouched blanket. You were a bit greedy with yours, so you decided to get a second one. For him. He hasn't returned your calls, your messages, nothing. Meanwhile outside, all hell was let loose. Slowly you climbed out of bed. On all but kids' channels, everyone was just talking about the escape of Tartarus, the villains rampaging, and the failure of heroes to do what they were being paid for. You sighed. Another top-ranking pro just announced his retirement. What a joke. It made you wonder, though, what was going on inside their heads? Did they know something you didn't? That was the scariest thought of all. At times like this, it would be much better to have someone. You pull up your phone. Hey baby, are you seeing this? You typed. Obviously he didn't reply. Didn't even see the message according to the little unread symbol under your text. Did he block you? You hated being ghosted. You felt alone and unattractive. Looking outside the window, you saw nothing but darkness. You worked the night shift at a local grocery store that was open 24/7. That's where you had met him. Tall, dark, handsome, the definition of what a modern woman wanted. Though, that's not why you were after him. You were after him for how he made you feel. Protected and yet still needed. The perfect picture book relationship. Was it boring? Well, maybe to people looking in from the outside. It wasn't really modern or interesting what the two of you had. More classic vanilla, with a side of angst. You loved that. It was a living childhood dream, and you understood his worth. That's why you still texted him. That's why you were still loyal. Why you still loved him. And why you definitely weren't going to do what your best friend Hina was suggesting, which was partying and sleep with as many guys as possible for revenge. Instead, you treated this period like a diary, texting him what you were doing, how you felt, pictures of food that you brought, and how you fought the mental decline you were having. And only sometimes a cheeky nude. Okay, fine, not sometimes. Daily. Mostly right before bed. You're putting on your uniform when your phone made a notification sound. Your eyes widened, and after putting on your work apron, you picked up your phone. I love you. That was from him. I'll be coming over tonight. Well, technically morning. Maybe at dawn, after your shift has ended. I'll explain everything. Don't worry. I'm alive. You pushed your phone against your chest happily, sighing with relief. It was getting more difficult by the day to tell Hina off. Thank God. After your shift at 24 hours and later, that's how the store chain was called, you stepped outside to the smoking area, used by all employees. A calm smoke was exactly what you needed. Though, again, normally he'd be picking you up, so something was still very wrong. You exhaled a large puff of smoke as you pulled out your smartphone. You knew your boyfriend was a hero, but definitely lesser known. Though you didn't know how small he was. In fact, thinking of it, you barely knew anything. The cigarette crackled as its bitter, biting taste made its way into your lungs. You and him played happy couple together, whenever he was with you. But other than that, nothing. What if he was secretly a villain, merely pretending? An hour later, you made your way back home. As expected, he wasn't waiting for you in front of your door. Deciding against all your judgments, you made yourself a cold green tea with a lot of honey in it. Turned into your favorite pirate radio station, pirate meaning it was run by a local high school radio club. Some of these kids always had the best music ready, be it ripped from games or anime. As you sat down on a chair on your balcony with another smoke. Ding dong. You almost dropped your cigarette. Quickly you swiped open the balcony door before darting towards the front of your apartment. Looking for the people, it was unmistakable, the fisheye lens image of your boyfriend. You opened the door expecting yourself to immediately jump in and hug him, though there was something stopping you. A mental block. Aizawa stood there for a moment, looking away from you. An incredibly mild blush on his face. A blush out of embarrassment. After a moment of awkward silence, you stepped aside, silently letting him inside. He was wearing his usual black outfit, with multiple layers of a certain white scarf around his neck. Though he wasn't wearing his usual yellow goggles. What was most striking was the bandage around his head, and the fact that his walk was off. One of his legs sounded heavier than the other. Both of you sat down on your couch, and as if nothing happened, you just turned on the TV. Like any other day. It wasn't until 4 a.m. he finally said something. Do you want the honest answer or the quick answer? You looked at him, and he looked back. He could see the anxiety in your face, and he forced a gentle smile, placing one arm around your shoulder before pulling you into him gently, lying you down on his lap. By now you had made some more tea that the two of you had been sharing. You also opened a box of biscuits. He at first only hesitantly touched them. No answer at all? He asked after combing through her hair caringly. You're clearly hurt. You're a hero. I think I can put 2 and 2 together, you said. For a moment his gentle strokes stopped, before hesitantly continuing. I'm more angry at you, that you didn't tell me anything. Only got my phone back today. We were completely forbidden to use social media. I see. The anime on screen began to get quite raunchy. While it was super early after all, they still showed some not safe for work stuff on TV. So he switched channels while you just blushed. The TV now displayed a talk show called Das ist gut, a German show recorded and broadcast in Japan, sponsored by various German companies like General Ballistics and Clarity Control. Clearly used for propaganda, but it was better than hentai. Or more, the two of you weren't really in the mood for hentai right now. So, your leg, you asked. We cut it off. That was metal, you thought. Your eyes ogled up at his chin. He coldly stared at the TV screen. He was working through his trauma alone, clearly. Was that what you were? You wondered. A small slice of normalcy, a normal relationship, where he could be a cuddly, caring boyfriend. Yeah, this may be heaven for him. I'm worried about you. His fingers stopped moving, and after a moment of silence you smiled. Well, that was the confirmation that you needed. But I know you can handle yourself. That earned you more pets. And you finally figured it out, and honestly, that made you feel incredibly great. Want me to make food? You asked with an instant smile. He exhaled, returning your gesture. Yes, that would be nice. He leaned back a bit to let you get up. Shaking your butt a little, you made your way into the kitchen, while Aizawa just lied down on your sofa. You had an air fryer, so you just threw some chicken tenders in there, before eating up water for some spicy ramen. It wasn't fancy, but it was super cheap. Especially the chicken. It had been on a discount by 50%, so you brought a lot of the enticing boxes, as much as fit into your tiny freezer. After the fryer binged and the ramen was made, you scooped the noodles and broth into 2 bowls before neatly placing the chicken tenders inside. They had no bones, so that made it convenient. Lastly, you cracked an egg into the bowl on the right, as I loved raw eggs in his ramen. Wasn't really your taste, but hey, give your man what he wants, right? Pulling out your silverware drawer, you took out 2 pairs of chopsticks, one black, one white, and then returned to your boyfriend. He had taken off his shoes by now, something that you normally made you really upset when he not did it immediately. You hated shoes indoors. But thanks to his prosthetic, it probably made taking off shoes difficult. So you made an exception. Placing his ball on the table, you sat down in front of his legs after you made some room. Though it was becoming increasingly difficult not to talk about the clearly visible damage he had received, you watched him eat hungrily. Whenever he noticed you glancing at him, he smiled at you softly. You ate your food quietly while he slurped loudly, which made you smile. Once done, you took his bowl. He respectfully even drank the broth. After returning the bowls to the kitchen, you lied down with him, his arms draped across your hip. It was almost too peaceful, and quite nice actually, though you couldn't get over it. Your stomach suddenly turned, and you took hold of the remote, muting the TV. The 2 of you sitting up. I want to talk about it. I can't just sit here. He sighed, setting his hands on your shoulders. And over the next hour he explained, at first reluctantly, then with passion. Your assumption of being his little slice of heaven was true, but the thought of a villain discovering he had a girlfriend was frightening him. He didn't want to tell you anything about his real life, but he understood after such an event that he had to. He talked about the Supernatural Liberation Front, the war, Tomura Shigaraki, the Nomus, all the while speaking so calmly. He really didn't want to jeopardize his heaven here. You exhaled and he smiled. Wanna go for a smoke? You're selfish, he suddenly said, and sharply so. Confused, he looked at you. This keeping me in the dark. It's selfish. A part of him was glad he hasn't mentioned Eri yet. I was trying to be a good boyfriend. You didn't have many girlfriends in your life, did you? He blushed hard. And you chuckled. I'll indulge you, Aizawa, but only this once. You softly cupped his cheek, looking straight into his eyes. And gently you got up, taking a pack of smokes from the coffee table. Well, didn't you want to smoke? He groaned half-jokingly. You held the door open for him as he moved past you. Giving him a cigarette, you both leaned over the railing, looking down at the city's neon lights as a mild drizzle began, looking at the rising sun. The blue mist quickly vanishing in the rain. Ash, he said. Quickly you bowed down to pick up your ashtray from a decorative metal garden table. It came together with a fitting chair. They had been here since you moved in. Thanks. Quietly you inhaled the hot polluted air. It calmed you just as much as your boyfriend. Are you staying over tonight? You said in between puffs. Was hoping I could. You smiled. Thanks, Tiger. You said romantically as you turned, pressing your back against the balcony railing, allowing him to finally kiss you. You awoke the next day, your eyes heavy. You could feel the fabric of your blanket against your naked skin. Really had been a fun night. But that's when you realized the sharp pain in your shoulders. Looking up, you realized you still were tied down by your wrists. Oh, damn it. Grumpy, you moved your foot to the side of the bed. Still warm. So it was probably, hopefully, still in your apartment. Sure, maybe he liked it when you fell asleep like this, but he could at least have the courtesy of tying you loose when he wakes up before you. After about 10 minutes of fighting the tight knot of his scarf, he finally returned to your side. The bandage around his eye replaced with a new one. Lovingly, he knelt down on top of you, grinning down at you. Something wrong? You grunted, a little less angry since you got to see his perfect muscles through the natural light of your bedroom. He leaned forward, slowly untying your arms. As you pulled them down, you cringed from pain and sore muscles. Yet he didn't step down from you. And what do you want now? You said as you rubbed your wrists. Your body sent pleasure signals throughout your entire body as you felt his hands glide up from your waist. Call it morning cuddles, he whispered. Hey, thank you for watching my video until the end. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and watch a few more. But before I say goodbye, I'd like to remind you to like the video and subscribe. I also have a Ko-fi and Patreon if you want to support me financially, and I also have a community Discord server. All links are down in the description. Hope you have a good day. Until next time.